will come help with us. I am your personal patient advocate, Monica. And we're going to go ahead and get started with mindfulness because right now we all need it. And I need to calm down and relax. So Travis is going to go ahead and open up with his loving kindness practice.
Awesome, awesome. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Much peace and love to you. So I look forward to doing this practice with you today. And I would like to invite everyone to really just find a comfortable seated position for yourself wherever you are. Allowing your feet to be flat on the floor if that's possible. Allowing your hands to be on your knees or your thighs, or interlock your fingers and allow them to lie in your lap. Whichever feels most comfortable for you at this time, inviting you to do that. All right. And once we found that comfortable position for ourselves, inviting you to allow your eyes to close, or if you're in a place or position where you can't close your eyes, inviting you to lower your gaze and soften your gaze. And I have our timer ready, and it's set for 10 minutes, and we'll do our loving kindness practice. Inviting you into the present moment by noticing the sound of my voice, noticing sounds in the space where you are right now. Gently shifting from sounds to your breath. Noticing your inhales and noticing your exhale. We'll begin this practice with 3 deep breaths, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And inviting you as you exhale to allow your shoulders to fall away from the ears and relax in place, relaxing as much as you can. Beginning now, inhaling deeply, exhaling. Inhaling deeply again, exhaling. One more time, inhaling deeply, pausing, and exhaling. Inviting you to allow your breathing to return to its normal cadence. Inhaling, noticing your breath, exhaling and gently scanning and noticing your body. On your next inhale, inviting you to notice your breath. And as you exhale, inviting you to begin bringing to mind an image of yourself. Maybe imagining looking at yourself in the mirror, noticing your face, imagining your expressions, imagining your eyes, nose, and lips, noticing yourself. And once you have an image of yourself in mind, inviting you to recite the following to yourself. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at ease. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at ease. May I be filled with loving kindness. Inviting you to allow the image of yourself to fade from your mind's eye as you reconnect to the breath and body. Inhaling, noticing the breath. Exhaling, and gently scanning and noticing your body. On your next inhale, inviting you to notice your breath again. And as you exhale, inviting you to begin bringing to mind family members. Maybe bringing to mind your mother and father, bringing to mind siblings, sisters, brothers, cousins, aunts, and uncles, expanding out to include your children. You may want to expand that out even further to include a significant other, a spouse or a mate. Expanding out even a little further to include ancestors. Maybe bringing to mind ancestors that you know, or ancestors that you don't know, inviting them in as well. And once you have your family surrounding you, inviting you to include yourself and recite the following. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we be at ease. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we be at ease. May we be filled with loving kindness. Inviting you back to your breath and body as you allow the image of your family to fade from your mind's eye. Inhaling, noticing your breath. Exhaling, and gently noticing your body. On your next inhale, inviting you to notice your breath again. And as you exhale, inviting you to bring your community in mind. Maybe imagining your colleagues, noticing your neighbor, individuals that are part of your community that you don't know, but have seen. Maybe even bringing to mind the store clerk, the teacher, fireman, police officer, individuals that make up your community. Inviting you to bring them to mind. And once you have them in mind, inviting you to include yourself, reciting the following. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we be at ease. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we be at ease. May we be filled with loving kindness. Allowing yourself to let the image of your community fade as you reconnect to the breath and body. Inhaling, noticing the breath. Exhaling and noticing your body. On your next inhale, inviting you to notice your breath. And as you exhale, inviting you to begin bringing to mind the city and state that you are in, all the inhabitants. Inviting you to expand that out to include all states in the country today and all the individuals that are part of that. Expanding out to include all countries, all people from around the world, bringing them to mind. And once you have the whole world in mind, inviting you to recite the following. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we be at ease. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we be at ease. May we be filled with loving kindness. Inviting you to allow the image of the world to fade from your mind's eye. Reconnecting to the breath and body. Inhaling, noticing the breath. Exhaling, and gently noticing your body. Inviting you whenever you're ready to allow your eyes to open, coming back into the space where you are right now. Thank you so much for this wonderful time with you.
You're done?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Travis. I'm calm now. The next person that we're gonna have, I'm so excited to bring her on, and that is Dr. Lori Vick. She is the University of South Carolina's nursing professor. She's the one that is a part of ICE, the NAPA International Sickle Cell Nurses and Professional Association. And she's gonna talk about the curriculum on how to treat sickle cell patients with sickle cell disease with a COVID entity. Take it away, Dr. Vick. Can you share your screen?
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you all for allowing me to be here with you again and to talk to you about what we're doing in terms of the sickle cell curriculum. So we're going to do an overview for those of you that have been here with me before and listened to some of this. You're going to see something similar, but you're going to see how far we've moved ahead. So I thank you for allowing me to have this time. So as you all know, excuse me, I'm a member of the International Association of Sickle Cell Nurses and Professional Associates, and I've been with this organization for some time. And recently I had a conversation with some of the leadership, the people that have been in leadership for a long time on the board, and they told me that they have been wanting to develop this curriculum to care for persons that have sickle cell disease since the beginning of this organization. You can see it was chartered in 1990. and that this is a labor of love for all of those involved. Okay, let's see if it'll let me advance my screen. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, so this is just to tell you about who's been involved. So we're grateful for the support of everyone that has been a part of this process. And as I say, it takes a village. Right now, we have partners that have been working with us from the sickle cell community, individuals with sickle cell disease, partners from the University of Tennessee Health Sciences Center, from St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, Boston Medical Center, Ohio State University, Duke, Marquette, and the University of South Carolina, and more. And it's kind of interesting, the further we've gotten along or gone along in this process, the more people have wanted to be involved, which is a beautiful thing, because you know, the more input, the better and the richer the content. So we started out using this Delphi method, only we did a modification in that. And what we did was we went to stakeholders and asked them, what do you think would be important? So we started out with some surveys. We also held focus groups where we invited people with sickle cell, their family members, healthcare providers, other professionals, and again, asking them, what do you think would be important and valuable? And all of us as nurses and professional associates in ISCNAPA, all along, we're thinking, you know, we think these things need to be in there. And so we're molding that all together. Currently, we have multiple teams that are working together and individuals to create the curriculum into modules. So each module can be delivered by in and of itself. It will be a complete or contained module of instruction, if you will. So that part has been done. The modules are currently being reviewed by persons with sickle cell, advanced practice nurse, and other nurses, and other primary care experts in the field to make sure and that we haven't left anything out, that we, you know, they're just kind of making sure that we have everything exactly as it should be. So it's our once over. We are also have recently developed some simulations that will be tested. These are simulations in nursing education, are hands-on learning opportunities for students. You know, it's one thing for students to have a book or some instructional reading material or an online PowerPoint like I'm presenting to you today, but it's quite another thing for them to have an opportunity to be in a safe space, a learning laboratory, if you will, with people, we call them standardized patients, who will be in the role of someone that has sickle cell. They may be a family member of somebody that has sickle cell. They may in fact have sickle cell themselves and live through this experience, or it could be a nurse like myself. I could go in and be in the role of a standardized patient. And then the students will interact and engage and will be monitored in how they're delivering the care that we would expect after they have had a lesson and some preliminary learning materials. We're also in the process of doing voiceover. So if I were to just provide you with this PowerPoint to not be here, it would be kind of dry. You'd click through it and think, well, I think I understand what they're saying here, but you know, it doesn't give a lot of context. Voiceover is like me talking with you about what's on these slides, and it provides what I call bringing life to the modules. So whenever we're putting together lessons for nurses to learn about, we think about these concepts here: knowledge, skills, attitude, and judgment. Knowledge comes from the student learning about the subject matter and delving into it and learning the science behind it. Skills would be developed in that online learning environment, for example. Attitude has to do with how we engage people. Do we demonstrate appropriate empathy? Do we provide them with the privacy that they deserve and certainly the respect they deserve? So these are examples of what we mean by the knowledge, skills, and attitudes. The judgment comes after they have developed this knowledge, skills, and attitudes in reference or in context to a given situation. And now it's time for them to reason and think through what are best actions and best practices in healthcare delivery. How can I do the best that I can to, to make a difference or support the patient where they are? We look at the pathophysiology, and patho is a broad scientific discipline where we examine the background of the disease. We look at genetic components that will be involved in it, and also will have be able to reflect on the stories of people with sickle cell, sharing exactly what their experience was with the disease process. So patho and physiology means we're studying the physical processes that are happening in the body. When a patient tells us, that's studying pathophysiology sounds pretty dry unless you love science like I do. But when you get to hear what a patient tells you is their experience with a pathophysiologic condition, it really drives the point home for you. This slide is just to share with you that we're doing a lifespan approach, and we're looking at the whole person in a holistic way. And when we say holistic, we mean we're looking at their biologic processes, their psychological processes, what's happening to them, what are the socially relevant factors that are happening, what are their spiritual needs. And also we do this in not just the hospital environment, right? Some people have care through medical home. Some people are involved in community health. Now, because of the pandemic, there have been telehealth appointments where caregivers are engaging people that have sickle cell and other health conditions. And we know that this telehealth and telemedicine are here to stay because not everybody wants to necessarily go into the health system. And you can do this from your home, and we can monitor and support patients in their home with what's going on with them. So we used in the development of this curriculum a lifespan approach, and that means we're looking at, if you see the pictures here, we're looking at from the infancy through older adulthood. And we decided as a group that we would look at specific things under each of these age groups. So in the newborn to preschool, you can see that we're going to look at the initial diagnosis of sickle cell, the prevention of infection. Many of you were on penicillin for the first several years of your life, possibly. Look at the health of the spleen. We've heard a lot about splenomegaly and splenectomies being a part of the necessary care. Pain syndromes that are specific to the child, dactylitis, for example, and then neurologic conditions like stroke in children. And again, hearing from the parents and hearing from children what has been their experience to the ability level that the child would have. And then in the school age child, I was involved in the development of some of this work. So we did a deep dive into pain, renal complications, skeletal complications, ophthalmologic complications, looking at retinopathies, pulmonary complications like acute chest syndrome. And again, going back to the importance of hearing the stories of children in school, and also what their parents' experience has been in helping to support and manage their child through these various health concerns. And then in the adolescent, we're looking at genetic counseling. We know that during adolescence, it's an important time for us to be, again, kind of reviving the importance of knowing what your sickle cell status is, where you're at. And as you start to develop important relationships in your life, what is the status of the person in your relationship? Also, again, continuing to look at neurologic concerns, learning associated issues might be part of it. Also looking at transition from that from that adolescent to the young adult, and how complex that can be, finding appropriate care when you go from that pediatrician to the adult caregiver, and trying to develop that strong relationship, understanding and therapeutic relationship that can go on between the young adult and the provider. Many people reflect positively on their pediatric experience, but have reported more difficulty and more complexity with getting to that same level or even better level of understanding with their providers. And then in the adult and seniors, we're looking at, just as we would look at in other people, we become more concerned about diseases of the heart, diseases of the lungs, neurologic concerns, again, stroke potential and all of that. The stroke, we know the neurologic concerns start from childhood, early childhood on throughout their adult life. Looking at emotional health, I would also say when we are looking at this lifespan approach, and because we targeted specific physical health conditions or health conditions under certain age groups, it doesn't mean that we don't anticipate or acknowledge that these disorders can happen at any time throughout the life of a person with sickle cell disease. So when I look at emotional and depression, I know that can happen in early childhood and throughout the lifespan, and the same with neurologic, which is why you see that frequently addressed in this lifespan approach. So now we've done the module development. The modules are put together, they're being screened as I shared with you before. In each module, the nurse learner, it could be a student nurse in one of my nursing classes, or it could be a nurse who is new to nursing. Maybe they've already graduated, but they want to learn about how to take care of people with sickle cell disease. We are really going to make this globally available to everybody, but each of the modules are designed with this kind of theme where we address what the objectives are. And in those objectives, we say that the learner will be able to, and we list a set of things that we expect each nurse learner to learn. And then we provide an introduction of the content where we spell out a specific health problem and define it and describe it in all the ways that we possibly can. We go into the pathophysiology where we give an in-depth explanation of what is happening to the person's body due to the specific health problem. And then in nursing assessment, we provide them with the information that is necessary for the nurse to use to assess the patient thoroughly, and also the importance of collaborating and communicating with their collaborators, other doctors, other nurses, radiology people to help with x-rays and so on and so forth, laboratory personnel. We'll be anticipating looking at lab values to see what is happening. All of those things are essential to the assessment. And then we're going to provide them with treatment options. What is expected to be done to manage this? It is very common for nurses to identify things early because they're at the bedside with the patient, and to be really essentially responsible for communicating that to the primary care provider, who will put in orders, medical orders for certain care actions to take place. We want the nurse to be able to be on top of it and to identify quickly what is going on, especially in situations where we have very acute health conditions and they need to be addressed right away. Like acute chest syndrome, that would be a very good example of that. So in nursing management, we say this is the nurse's roles and the nurse's responsibilities, and we're providing them with the content and information that they need so that they can take the appropriate action and engage with the whole care team to provide the best possible care that we can for the individual. In the case study scenarios, we provide them with a story, a case of what this particular illness, I'll go back again to acute chest syndrome, what that will look like, how we will see it manifest. You're doing vital signs on a patient. You assess their oxygen status. They report to you they're having some difficulty breathing. You notice a change in their breathing pattern. That should automatically alarm the nurse and get them to take action for further assessment, informing the primary care provider that this might lead to an intensive care hospitalization because of the nature of that illness. So we'll show them with that case study scenario what this looks like, what are the actions that need to be taken. All of the information that's put together in this module has been peer reviewed, will have been peer reviewed based on expert reports and other reliable resources, all scholarly research. And so we're using the best available science that we have right now. There'll also be test questions or quiz questions to assess what the nurse's knowledge is. And none of this is to be punitive. It's to help and promote them learning, right? So if they don't do well on the quiz after they've gone through the material, it means go back through the material. Let's visit that again. And for some of these modules, there'll be video content that will be available so that they can see kind of a lived experience or hear a patient tell the story in their words of what happened to them. So thank you for giving me time to update you about what's going on with the development of the sickle cell curriculum for nurses education. And I am open to any questions that you all might have.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
I was wondering, I know that the sickle cell disease affects many people of color. And in the trainings and modules that you talk about, is there I'm thinking of the right way to say it, is there a cultural piece that really supports the nurses to understand the patients that they may be working with?
Well, that's a wonderful question. We all recognize that in the United States, greater than 90% of our patients that have sickle cell will be African American. A smaller number will be Hispanic, and an even smaller number will self-identify as Caucasian or white. But in terms of providing a specific curriculum about the culture of people that have sickle cell, I don't believe that we created a module that clearly addresses that. And I thank you for sharing that with me. I've been hoping that I would hear things that, you know, that we hadn't really thought about. So addressing culture, we looked at looking at the psychosocial things. So in the social aspect, yes, but to look clearly at cultural concerns, I think that is worth revisiting. And Travis, I thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Agnes asked the question, would we be willing to partner with international organizations to introduce this curriculum to our healthcare professionals? Agnes, this is going to be free to everyone in the entire world. Yes, we are going to pass it on across other places. One of the members of our organization has a clinic in Sierra Leone, and if he's not already testing some of it, he's going to be testing some of it there. He may have already done it. I just haven't had a chance to talk with him since he's been back from Sierra Leone. That's Dr. Chidi Jaja, if you're familiar with him. So yes, ma'am, we are going to be sharing this with everybody. Again, labor of love, and we want to do all that we can to inform nurses of what they can do to best provide care for people that have sickle cell disease. This is long overdue.
Mhm.
So thank you for that, Agnes. So I thank you all so much. If you have questions, I'm going to put my email into the chat. Feel free to email me, or if you have ideas, it's not too late. We're listening and we're learning. So. One other thing I want to share with you is we are not covering everything, right? You could see that. It's not that we're covering everything. There are other nurse organizations that we all are respecting each other's work. And there are people up at Duke that are doing work with emergency care of patients that have sickle cell disease or persons that have sickle cell disease. So we're respecting the work that they're doing. And I believe we were looking at transfusions and things like that. And Miss Yvonne Carroll shared with us that the NIH, National Institutes of Health, had developed very good curriculum that addressed that. So we're not going to repeat what's already been done, but we're trying to contribute and add to what's happening. It looks like Miss Carroll is here and she's put something in the chat. So thank you so much. She says, also, if you'd be willing to be videoed to share an experience with certain complications like acute chest, email admin@iascanapa.org and let us know what complication you'd be interested in sharing your experience with. That would be much appreciated. Thank you so much. Agnes, could you share with me a little bit more about what you mean? She said the question about different demographics of patients is really important, seeing that it will be available globally. Would you share with me a little bit more about what you mean there? Or can you speak with us?
I can, I'll try. It's almost 4 a.m. here, but I'll try. I'm just looking at it from a point of view of our Australian patients. So we have different patients from Asia, Africa, India, and this is a challenge that most of our doctors talk about because the presentation and the treatment options are quite different and varied. So I think somebody asked the question about, I think in line of different patients, I guess. So yeah, I just wanted to find out in terms of different demographics. That's the only thing that the doctors and nurses talk about here is the different type of patients they have and how their treatment options vary depending on the type of sickle cell and where they originate from.
Dr. Vic, you're muted.
Agnes, is there any way for me to be able to reach out with you or to communicate with you?
Yes, Monica can pass on my details.
Okay, all right, wonderful. Or if you have email, please feel free to put it in the chat and I can capture it there, whatever you want to do.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Miss Monica, shall I close my part?
Yes, are you done?
I am.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Vic.
My pleasure.
Curriculum is almost done. I'm glad it's gonna be in the schools and everything. So thank you so much, Dr. Big. The next person, the next two gentlemen I'm going to bring up are with Novartis Pharmaceutical Company, and Mr. Kevin is gonna talk about the work that he's doing in the community. So I'm gonna bring Mr. Kevin up. Thank you, Mr. Kevin.
Well, thank you, Dr. Vic, for that presentation. I think that is going to really go over well for lots of people, because if we start educating the nurses and people at the teaching institutions, then they'll be ready for what we're starting to do in the community. And that's what we're trying to get the sickle cell patients to connect with one another. Sometimes when people are going through this disease, they think they're the only ones going through it, or just the neighbor down the street. But we found out that we have people all across the country and all across the world that have been impacted by this disease. So what Novartis is starting doing is reaching out to the community-based organizations and working with them to make sure that we can connect them locally, and we provide them resources to connect with treatment programs like yours, so that they'll have those resources to help them be better patients and be more in tune with their bodies and what's going on with their treatment modalities. Now, there are several new companies that are coming out with different treatments right now, but if the patients aren't prepared and aren't ready to receive those treatments, then what are we doing? So Novartis is focusing on working with the communities and educating the patients so that they are ready and prepared to receive the treatments that are available for them. So what we want to do is partner with groups like you all to make sure that we're in your local communities, that we're showing up on a regular basis, that we're working with you along beside you to make sure that all of your patients and everyone that's suffering from this disease has the proper level of care, understanding, and gets treated a certain and respectful way. And that starts with educating ourselves and our patients so that they know that this is the way we're supposed to behave when we go in certain offices. These are the certain things we should ask and request. We should know our medical history, what the disease is doing to our bodies, what the medications are doing to our bodies, and how best to fit and treat ourselves. Oftentimes, when some of our patients show up in the emergency rooms and they know what type of pain meds they need, the emergency room physician just turned them away thinking they're drug seekers, but that's not the case. So we developed what we call Generation S for sickle cell patients to connect those patients. Just so if you have an opportunity to reach out to someone else that's receiving something particular about your treatment. Yeah, sure.
Excuse you, us for 1 second. I think that'll be better so the audience can see you as well.
Okay, perfect. All right. And that's what we're trying to do, is to connect people. Oftentimes you feel disconnected, and when advocacy groups show up at Congress and there's only one person behind them, and we're trying to get our legislators to act a certain way for certain bills so we can get coverage for certain medications. If they only see one person, this is hard for them to act. But it's even harder for them to not act. When they look out in the room, you see all these faces of these people, that you're going to tell them, no, we're not going to pass a bill that's going to help you receive the funding for the therapies that you rightfully need. When it comes to rare diseases, sickle cell is the #1 rare disease in America. And why is it the least funded of them? Because we don't show up on a regular basis in those meetings where we can impact our own treatment. And that's why advocacy is so important, that we gather at a local level and that we show up. So when companies come in and say, we're going to go to the legislator, we need some people from the advocacy group to go with us. That's what we're asking for, because we are fighting for you. And if they see your face, it's hard for them to say no. So we have to be participants. So Novartis and Generation S wants to connect us so that you will feel that you're not alone, that there are other people dealing with this. And there may be someone in Seattle, Washington that's dealing with the same issue. And maybe that person can be there to help you, okay? So that's what we're doing. So you come back to our table, I will explain more about Generation S. We have some bags over here to give you because we understand, like, it's cold outside today. Just a temperature change can impact what your body's gonna do today. And oftentimes physicians don't understand that, you know what, I smell bad today because if I take a shower, it's gonna hurt because we're in so much pain. So we need to be able to articulate that to the physician as well as to the caregivers, and make sure that the people that are there with us, the advocates, understand that as well. So we want to help you guys work within your local communities to share that information. And it looks like we got a question. Is that a question?
Hi, this is Alicia Lewis from Genetic Nonprofit. How are you all? Hey, Monica. Hey, everyone.
How's it going?
great, because I heard you were saying something about advocacy. I know one of the things that the nonprofit that, you know, Monica is a part of our board is the fact that we have been meeting with different legislators in regarding to hopefully passing bills in regarding to gene therapy and so forth and so on. So as far as sickle cell goes, from what I was told from one of the aides of I think it was Sanford Bishop, was the fact that there are bills or policies that are in the House, but it's just, like you said, a matter of them trying to pass that on. And even Senator Corey, what's it, Brooks from New Jersey. Booker, excuse me, Booker. I'm hungry. I'm, you know, just spitting out stuff. So please forgive me. Him and another senator, they've been working a while just to pass a bill on behalf of the sickle cell population. So yes, I do agree that the sickle cell population needs to show up and show out a little bit more if they can, if they're, you know, healthy, you know, because that's the most important thing. You have to be healthy in order for you to show up and show out, so they can be able to pass these laws, so they can be able to get more help in the doctor offices, hospitals, and so forth and so on. And it would be great if, you know, we get more healthcare providers on board on as far as what, you know, the sickle cell population needs, because yes, it is difficult just to enter into an emergency room when, first of all, they a lot of them didn't receive a lot of the training as far as how to treat, you know, a patient like that. Of course, yes, you definitely need a specialty in order to treat them, but at least have some type of knowledge in regarding to how to approach them, how to be able to have sympathy and empathy for them, because, you know, they can only do so much. So I just wanted to spill that out as far as, you know, what is going on as far as legislation wise. And Monica, I actually supposed to be getting with you hopefully this weekend about us actually going to the state capitol to speak with lawmakers about hopefully writing out some bills and policies so we can hopefully pass them in hopes of helping the sickle cell community.
That's awesome. That's why Dr. Vick's presentation was so important, so moving to me, because having a curriculum that's something that's teaching specifically to sickle cell patient is unheard of. I have friends that have attended law school and they talk about sickle cell for all about an hour. I mean, med school for about an hour, the whole 3 years they're in med school. That is not enough time. I mean,
And that is true.
not enough time in an hour. That's just not enough time. So they're not even equipped with the information, but then they get into these ER situations where they're told we can only give so much pain meds no matter what, which is the script that they're given. But then when sickle cell patients come in, the pain meds that they're requesting, that may manage your pain for about an hour or two, you know, and don't blame opiates on the sickle cell population. Not even close, because we're talking about Dilaudid, we're talking about inpatient morphine at this point, because no one wants to go to the emergency room. Who does? But you don't have a choice at that point. So how do we make sure we're advocating once we get there? I mean, I've had situations where a patient moved from Chicago to Florida to attend college. She brought her medical records with her and her doctor's cell phone number, and they still did not want to treat that patient. Until they called the doctor, he had to get on the phone with the ER treating attendee just for them to treat that patient. And she had her records in her hand. They thought she falsified her records. So we have to advocate. I mean, clinical health workers, sometimes you send them in with the patients. I mean, a young man with priapism, he's 14. He's in the emergency room for 6 hours. And no, he was in pain for 10 hours before then. But a 6-year-old man come in because he took too much Viagra and they rushed him straight back. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. So what do? No one sees us. No one hears us. So we have to make sure we do that. And Novartis is trying to partner with your local groups to help us do that. And that's what we're here for. That's why I'm here today. so that you guys understand that we're in the trenches with you. You know, I don't have a product to sell you. It's not about a product this time. This is about making sure we get on the same page so that when the proper opportunity comes to be treated by a product, then you're ready to receive it, you'll stay on therapy longer, and then you'll receive the benefits that are there for you. That's what I'm here to share with you today. Any more questions? Anybody have anything else, request from me?
I don't have any more questions, but I do want to, say that, I think if we can get more laws passed in regarding to care for not only the sickle cell population, but, those with rare diseases, because, there, of course, are being neglected for some reason. So if we can be able to go to the Capitol together to be able to get these lawmakers to understand the need for these laws to be in place, so doctors, nurses, and whoever is taking care of these patients understand why these laws are in place. If we can start there, hopefully things, I don't know, hopefully things will change, but we can still continue to, advocate, rally, and so forth and so on. We just need those laws in place.
Well, now's a great time because if you're not feeling well, you can attend these meetings virtually now. So we really don't have an excuse. You don't have to leave the house anymore. You know, I talked to some community-based organizations, and they've been actually had a pain crisis. They're in the hospital, but they still wanted to talk because they need to do something to feel normal at that moment. So we need to encourage all of our people, the family members, whether you have sickle cell, you have the trait, or you just know someone, to be advocates as well, so that when we show up in mass, we can impact those laws, because it's harder for them to say no when they see our faces. We have to show up. Now, my current role is I'm a community-based educational liaison to Novartis. I am your connection to almost all things Novartis, where there will be, you need to submit something for a grant, you send that through me. If you have a request for educational programs, we need to send someone out to just do an educational talk with your particular groups. When you guys have blood drives or events like this and you need people to show up from Novartis, I'm one of the people that you connect. There's only two of us for the whole country. I have the Southeast and the West Coast. So I live in Little Rock, Arkansas. So I didn't just come down the street. I came here intentionally to be here at this meeting, to share with you all, to let you guys know that this is what we're trying to do. And as we grow and we grow in our understanding and we learn more of what you need in your local community, I'm not here to give you what Novartis says to do. I'm here to learn from you, figure out what you need in your community, and see where we can meet together and help you reach your local community. So we're not forcing anything on you at all. We're just here to listen to you, find out what you need, and see if we can help. You said you had a question?
Well, we had a sickle cell clinic and they closed it down. So we need something.
Mm-hmm.
We should have to go way that down to get treatment, the right kind of treatment.
Mm-hmm.
We go to the doctor. I see Dr. Neal at the cancer center. They don't offer a Gatorade or nothing. And they know that's part of our hydration.
Right.
You know, with the cancer patients, they give them meals and all this stuff. And we sitting out there in the waiting area. Like, really? I mean, for real.
And that can start from a local community, working with the hospital and administrators at the hospitals, because I have the same role as Charles. I have Arkansas and all of Mississippi, and in Jackson, Mississippi, the same thing happened. They closed the Sickle Cell Day Center, and those patients scattered, and who was treating them? No one. But when you work with the hospital staff and the advocate group, say, okay, look, you guys are treating breast cancer this way, prostate cancer this way, and we have to see a hematologist because you have to be followed by one. Why aren't we getting the same type of treatment? Now, most of them will say, well, we didn't know you weren't getting it. That's what they're going to say. But see, that's what advocacy and community-based organizations like this really, really impact your local community. So now you can get with them, say, take 5, 6 of you guys, what are these people doing in my office? Because we want to know why we're not getting treated the same way. And that's one thing I've learned, that that's the best way to do it, the impact, to go to them and say, okay, why not? And make them tell you no. Well, we don't have the resources. Oh, okay. So are you saying if we could go out to the community and collect money based on your name and we buy the resources and we bring them here and supply them, would that be okay? They don't want you using their name, but you have to ask those type of questions. So that way we force our local communities to treat our local patients well. You have to stand up and be bold. Because you're worth it. You're human just like everybody else. Yes.
Back off what she said. We used to see, I used to see Mr. Nelson ran the sickle cell clinic. But then there was a change of administration. And they said it was also like a fund.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the question and they started sending us the feed work to see Dr. Cooper that comes out of us.
Mm-hmm.
Then when the pandemic hit, he was doing, like you said, it was telemedicine.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to leave the comfort of my room, or my house, or in my bedroom. Thing I'm looking at this area is poverty stricken.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are not educated, and when you go to educate, it's still that crab in the barrel mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like talking to that wall.
Mm-hmm.
So then a lot of people think sickle cell is contagious until you talk to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, it's hereditary. Right. It's hereditary. And it's just that, like she's saying, it's like pulling teeth.
Well,
You be in the council center, if you don't bring your own stuff, I only got to the point I got to bite.
mm-hmm.
It constantly goes with me wherever I go. It's got milk bars in it. It's got peanut butter because peanut butter got a tendency to help me sick cell patients. So I keep the crackers. And I got a jug up out in Vegas of about 84 ounces of water. I keep me at all times. So if they don't want to provide it, I look at sustainability. I'm gonna take care of Carlos. And that's what I do.
And that's what's so important, that we share those stories, that we're going to take care of ourselves. But that's where education comes in. And that's part of my role and responsibility, is educating the masses, from the healthcare professionals to the patients. Because if we need to bring in speakers to speak specifically with the healthcare professionals, then we need to do that, so that they can have that peer-to-peer conversation on why you are feeling the way you're feeling, what's going on with your system. And then once they're educated, when you show up, then they're apt to treat you better, because now they've been educated. Because honestly, they haven't been educated on, not just in poverty-stricken areas. New York has the same problem, Texas, Los Angeles have the same issues. I mean, I've been all over this country here in the last, 9 months, and I'm hearing the same story. From Minnesota to Texas, from Tallahassee to Washington State, Seattle. It is the same thing. So it's all about, one, funding, understanding that these programs need to be funded. Two, that the government gets on board and supports these rare diseases and the treatments for those rare diseases. And then that we educate the physicians and the patients so that we're all on the same page.
I think there's no competition in the medical. Phoebe got everything.
Okay.
Oh God. I mean, you know, they got it monopolized. They got no competition. So if you don't go to Atlanta, like she said, or Tallahassee, or go out to Texas, you stuck.
Yeah.
I live in Southwest Georgia, but all my doctors are at Phoebe. And that's sometimes that's become a problem. Because when I fell in that 4 years ago, I had a heart attack. And they called Phoebe, get me to Phoebe. Phoebe didn't have a baby. So I ended up going to Alabama to Southeast Medical Center. Then once I started to get treatment again, all my doctors is this way in Augusta. They had a problem with me going to see a cardiologist over in Alabama. It was a life or death call. I either came to Phoebe or I went to the medical center. So that's the thing I see. I mean, there's no competition. Every time somebody try to come in, Phoebe, you got Phoebe from out Doherty County, go to Americas. They got Phoebe Americas. Go to Worth County, got Phoebe Worth. So it's like Phoebe in this area, the Southeast region, is Phoebe.
Okay.
But then they're not standing up to the standards when they was just focused on Doherty County. They got so big, it's like they dropped the ball somewhere in corporate America. It became, in corporate America, we cut them at the end of the day.
Yes.
So it's like it became, okay, what next hospital can I swallow? But am I worried about their patient? And that's what I think. That's my opinion.
Anyone else? Well, thank you for your time. I will be back here at my table. If you have any other questions, come back and see me, okay? Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. And I know Agnes have to go because it's 3 o'clock in the morning over there in Australia. I want to thank Amplify Sickle Cell Voices. I know a lot of international people, it's like 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning where they're at. So if you gone to bed, I completely understand. So thank you for joining us and thank you for all of the questions. What I forgot to say in the beginning because of technical difficulties, which I've done anyway, is if you have any questions, put them in the chat section, or you can always email me the questions and I'll direct the questions to wherever they need to go. Because of the sake of time, and my time is almost up for this room, so the next thing that I'm going to do is recognize all of the sponsors and donors. And because they have contributed, because of their contribution, we've made, this event was made possible. I'm gonna bring the water for the audience. The pharmaceutical companies were the donors. They donated material. Novartis donated the gift bags. Global Blood Therapeutics donated the information on Oxbryta. Novartis donated the gift bags and they provided information as well. We also have the tribe of SWGA Sickle Cell Awareness for those individuals that donated to this event. We also have NCOBA, which is the National Coalition of Black Reparation in America. Of course, y'all heard mindfulness from I Am. ISCANAPA, Seeds That Grow, Virtual Insight, RSA Global Blood Therapeutics. I have information on Sonar Clinical, which they're partnered with Former Therapeutics for their 2 clinical trials that they are doing. And Be The Match, I don't have the information, but Be The Match has provided a lot of information about being the match for bone marrow transplant, stem cell transplant, gene therapy. They provide a lot of treatment options as well. The next thing and I also want to do a special thank you to my latest partner sponsor, which is the Face Whisperer, who is here. Thank you, Face Whisperer, for being a sponsor. And Jessica, I need you to come up because we're getting ready to do the raffle. Everybody has asked these $1 million questions. And the process for the raffle is you have to donate to SWGA Sickle Cell Awareness. Any amount that you donate will get your name in the raffle. Got a raffle box. The first item, we're going to raffle off whatever she picks up, whatever order she goes in. And these items were donated from the tribe. Individuals donated these gifts. It's however you do it, Jessica. Come up here just so everybody can see, because some of the people online donated. Rockwell. Okay, my mom won that. Okay, the next item that we're raffling off is the Sound Spa portable. Well, take that. She did a large donation. Pick another name. Sandra Rogers. That's Miss Rogers. She donated. You gonna get it for her? She donated it.
Yay.
This is a fragrance oil that looks like it reminds you of sand at the beach. Who? Okay. Sandra Rogers again. She said no. Sandra Rogers. It was just Sandra, then it was Sandra. Did you say so good? Yes, I did. It's up to you. No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. Tina, my witness. No, they're not. No.
I'm literally just, my hand is big in it.
And I'm looking at the other thing.
Are you for real? You know what?
They just made larger donations. Their donations were larger.
Tina Albany.
All right, Tina, you win that one.
Just pick all of them.
The mist.
Made the best for last.
Cool.
Travis Spencer.
Travis, you won the
Ah.
palm mist. Look at how you look.
Oh, snap.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
The person that beat us, she gonna keep it. And the one that the most highly requested item, which is the oil diffuser set. There should be some more names in there.
You sure?
I should.
I know my name is supposed to be in the book.
It was. It should have been in
want
my.
I want this.
Huh? No, Tina's name should be in there. Several names are in there.
I know, right?
Mm.
My name is this.
Wow.
Oh, you haven't called. Oh, Tina.
Wow.
That was the other name that was in here.
I want people to know because I've been accused of picking who I want to win prizes. So that's what I didn't do nothing. I put it in somebody else's hand. Y'all, they was like, Monica, I don't want to use in a different thing. You like, and Monica, she won the humidifier, the air purifier. They were like, Monica, you picked that name. So no, I ain't touching it. So it's and I know people about to drop off because it's 12 o'clock, and I know I said the event would be 12 o'clock. We have less than 2 minutes. I do want to say thank you for everybody that came out online as well as in person. I am so grateful and thankful for everybody and their contribution to this event. And you all know we're having another event that's coming up soon. I haven't selected a date. You know, the second one that I have every year is called Let's Game Plan for Sickle Cell. So that's going to be our next event. And I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And you all enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.
Okay, much peace.